Hi everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Days Podcast. I'm on with a new video. I want to thank you guys so much for liking, subscribing, viewing, watching, and listening. I truly appreciate it. And thank you for just being here, like just really being able to learn new things. And I'm going to continue to learn new things and talk about them. Um, we will be continuing the story time with new artists or artists that I haven't talked about yet on Patreon and Spotify alike exclusively. So I will be talking about that very soon, um, along with other things exclusively. Don't get it twisted. We're gonna talk about them all. I just want to make sure that we have enough free content. So free videos, I should say, episodes, if you will. But let's get into this. This episode here, we are going to talk about Afrodisiac by Brandy. So, Afrodisiac is the fourth studio album by Brandy. It was released on June 25th, 2004 by Atlantic Records. The album was recorded primarily in Los Angeles between spring 2003 and early 2004, following several major changes in Brandy's personal and professional life. After giving birth to her daughter and the demise of her relationship with Big Bird, Brandy's team was given an overhaul, including changes in production, management, and A&R. The album marked a departure from her previous work, with Brandy collaborating with producer Timbaland and songwriter Candace Nelson on the majority of the album's composition. So, in the span of only a few years, within releasing Full Moon, yes, she's a mother, and there's relationship issues, and she leaves the relationship, and she's saying to herself, I need to keep working. Okay? Any mother would do the same. And I just feel as though this album, since it's been 20 years now, because it says recorded 2002 to 2004, so this was in the midst of working on Full Moon. She just months later, within months, was like, all right, back in the studio. And there's just all these different changes going on. And like most artists, I feel for her as far as for in this moment where they're transitioning from a really different space in their life to just being able to persevere. And I've said this about Miley as well when it came to Bangers, where it was just like, I know y'all love me this way, but this is who I am, and I've been peaking that throughout my eras, and with a franchise, and I want y'all to know, I'm gonna continue doing things my way now, and Brandy, had already had that already stamped within not even just her first, but her second album. So with her third album, people were able to be like, I love this, and what's next? And this was where we were going into now, With many of their new relationships being the result of broken ones, Brandy and Timbaland were inspired to experiment with a number of sounds and influences to create a unique, individualized sound that was distinct from other R&B music. Going towards the mid 2000s, it's not even just them. There was a lot of people that was just like, you'd see them in public smiling, but they were kind of falling out. Like they were just like, all right, well, there's other things I want to do, other people I want to work with. Like it was a lot. Like I will definitely, keep you guys tabs as we go through different episodes on, that happening. The result was an organic, mellow, contemporary R&B album that experimented with the New York-based ambient style, which infuses eccentric hip-hop breakbeats, ambient soundscapes, and the unorthodox sampling of indie rock and various film scores. And I commend them for working together, because, like I said, there were producers and writers that wanted to expand more from the 90s, and Timbaland was one of them. He wanted to be able to really work with different people, and even people that he may have not been able to work with at a time because he was doing other things, as most writers and producers and artists. So Brandy also continued to experiment with her singing, opting to use more technical applications of counterpoint and multi-track recording toward her vocal arrangements. An autobiographical album, the songs feature intimate lyrics which discuss the singer's personal struggles with codependency, monogamy, misplaced loyalty, and professional anxiety. So, like Full Moon, this was going deeper in as her being a woman, a mother, okay? Just letting people know I am wanting to be even more respected now, despite the fact that I'm not as young, and maybe people have felt, as innocent too. And I say this with the sense that, well, for me, I feel as though she genuinely was going through things. There was tabloids that were saying, oh, she wanted to be pregnant. And I don't think, I think that she really was just living life. And I think that in such rare occasions with artists, because at that time, having a baby was like, all right, you're done. you don't have enough time, and you're young too. It all depends when you're young. But then if you're like in your late 20s going on 30s and you're having a child, it's like, oh yeah, you're done. They felt like that with Michael, and Michael was like, no, I'm still very much going. I Invincible. How old am I? I'm in my 40s. What? So, they listen. It happens, and I just think that this was her being very authentic with it, and we, from artists that are from her time, they were peaking in this time as far as in the 2000s, but in the 2010s, when things were slowly getting to streaming, is when artists that came out even in the 80s were able to tour and be able to be recognized a bit more, because there was a sense of, I will say, from 2005 to 2015, there was favoritism, a lot of it. And by 2016, when things started to get real around all areas in the world, it was like, okay, things got to change. And now we have more inclusiveness, I believe, with artists. But there are artists that have been to, really try to shape their eras the best way they could with whatever they could, and I commend them for it. Upon release, Afrodisiac was critically acclaimed for its mature lyrics, Brandy's vocalizing, and its overall experimental sound. The album debuted at number 3 on US Billboard 200, selling 131,700 copies in its first week. It was eventually certified gold by the Recording Academy. Afrodisiac was nominated for several awards, including Grammy Award for Best Contemporary Album. The album spawned 3 singles, including Talk About Our Love, featuring Kanye West, which reached the top 40 on the Billboard Hot 100, along with Who Is She to You and Afrodisiac. Since its release, the album has been retrospectively called a predecessor to alternative R&B, having been cited as an influence by artists such as Rihanna and Solange. So this album really, again, was letting people know, I can do different things and still be Brandy. And she did just that. So yeah, in February 2002, Brandy released her third studio album, Full Moon, which was preceded by the lead single, What About Us, a worldwide top 10 hit. However, the album's title track failed to chart or sell noticeably outside the US and the United Kingdom, where it managed to enter the top 20. During the production of Full Moon, she became involved romantically with producer Robert Big Bird Smith. The couple began a relationship during the summer of 2001, but the relationship did not become known until February 2002. The same month, Brandy revealed that she was expecting her first child. So, and y'all want to come at Hailey Bailey? Why is she not just admitting that she's pregnant? Or why is she didn't want y'all to know. There's people before her that at some point they just said, "Hey, I'm pregnant," or just may have just had a reveal, and people were just talking left. That takes a lot of stress, and what maybe Haley probably realized, it's probably just as stressful just not even bothering to talk about it, as opposed to even just saying I have a son. I personally believe that she did the right thing. Like, I don't need nobody. No, no. When I have my kid is when I have my kid. Period. So anyway, um, as far as where was I? However, a year later, after the birth of their daughter, Sarah Iman Smith, on June 16, 2002, Brandy and Smith officially announced their separation. It was not until 2004 that Smith revealed that the pair had never legally wed, but that they only portrayed the notion of nuptials to preserve the singer's public image. By the following year, Brandy had begun a relationship with NBA guard Quentin Richardson. The couple soon became engaged in July 2004, but eventually ended their 15-month engagement in October 2005. So even in the sorry guys, even in the release of this album, she was in another relationship, and it did not work out. But as opposed to the father of her firstborn, they had a relationship. It did not work. Brandy may have wanted to marry him at a time that may have been right, but it just did not happen. And, and in hindsight, that's okay. Rightfully so. She's an artist. If it's just not going to work, it's just not going to work. And as opposed to having a child, that child going to always be taken care of because I'm Brandy, okay? Shoot. But yeah, following the birth of her daughter in June 2002, Brandy soon entered the recording studios to begin work on her then untitled fourth album with producer Mike City and companion Robert Big Bird Smith. So she worked with him, on the album, as she envisioned the long player to sound much rawer and more street than its 2002 predecessor, Full Moon. Smith quickly emerged as the album's executive producer and A&R, replacing longtime contributor and mentor Rodney Darkchild Jerkins, who Brandy felt was not going in the same direction creatively after all. Oh, so they weren't working as much. After parting ways with Jerkins, whose Darkchild team took production credits on her last two albums, she commented that Darkchild created a sound with me and gave it to everybody. I didn't like that. I needed to change my sound and I wanted to explore my versatility. Versatility, I mean. Yeah. I wanted to explore my versatility, my creativity, and my art. The couple eventually finished a number of demo recordings in at least 4 full songs until late November 2002, including Ride or Die and Sarah-inspired Sunshine. Although Smith expected the album to be released by spring 2003, at one time or another, him and Brandy ended their relationship in mid-2003, resulting in the album's delay and several personal changes. So, like I was saying, she did work with him, and they were starting to make just most of the album, if anything, or possibly half of it, but it just didn't work out. And she said, you know what, I'm gonna continue to just work on something different here, and why not, so yes, Afrodisiac debuted at number 3 on the U.S. Billboard 200 behind Lloyd Banks' The Hunger for More and Usher's Confessions, and at number 4 on the top R&B hip hop albums, selling 131,000 copies. Well, 131,700 copies in its first week. Though sales soon declined and the album fell short of off the upper half of the Billboard 200 in its eighth week, it was eventually certified gold by the Recording Academy for shipments of 500,000 copies, including actual sales of 417,000 copies. Internationally, Afrodisiac failed to reach the top 30 on all of the charts it appeared on except for Japan and Switzerland, where it managed to debut at numbers 10 and 26, respectively. In the United Kingdom, the album was awarded a silver certification by the British phonographic industry on September 24, 2004, for selling 60,000 copies. So, despite the fact that it didn't really get to sell as well overseas, it did do well. It did go number 3. And can I say this, since it's just kind of flowing? Megan went number 3 with Megan, and I'm proud of that. And that's with less sales. And I only say this because we have seen different rap artists just be able to really put out different music recently. Men and female alike. We're not taking out anything here. And I just want to say that charting and placements, when it comes to even just R&B, like let's take the spectrum even further with R&B here. A lot of R&B artists, as I've recently have talked about, did not always chart, even down to just the sake of promotion, and they didn't always chart as high. And I just be saying to myself, like, I have to really let people know it is their name. Their name really brings out with okay? New Brandy album, I'm buying. Okay? Like, just, it's the name, child. So let's go into the track list here. So track 1 is Who I Am. Track 2 is Afrodisiac. Track 3 is Who Is She to You. Track 4 is Talk About Our Love featuring Kanye West. Track 5 is I Tried. Track 6 is Where You Wanna Be featuring T.I. Track 7 is Focus. Track 8 is Sid Diddy. Track 9 is Turn It Up. Track 10 is Necessary. Track 11 is Say You Will. Track 12 is Come As You Are. Track 13, Finally. Track 14, How I Feel. And track 15 is Should I Go. Should I Go, not that I didn't want to also talk about, just talk about our love, or Who Is She to You, but those are known songs. I love those songs. Aphrodisiac, I do love that song as well. Should I Go is very much, well, I love that song, and I'm happy Chris Martin loved making sure that she could have that song to sample, because I love Clocks by Coldplay. And Chris Martin worked on I Tried as well. Like, you know, listen, I love Coldplay. And, you know, I think at the time, people really didn't get to acknowledge this album enough. And it's a great album. Yeah, so Japanese edition bonus track, Nodding Off. French limited edition bonus tracks is 16 is Sirens, 17 is Like It Was Yesterday, and track 18 is Nodding Off. So those songs I haven't really got to really hear yet, but I will listen to them, because, you know, there's songs that, you know, even at, well, it's been 20 years, so she may do a 25th anniversary, but you know, there's unreleased songs that, you know, were going on around this time that may still, you know, sound good. Why not? But guys, I want to thank you so much for listening and watching and listening for all of my content, not just this. It really means a lot. But I will definitely be back with more.